Hello, Western students. Today I'm talking with Bridger Bertram. I haven't seen Bridger for a couple of months, so I'm really excited to hear what he's been up to. So Bridger, tell us what you've been doing since the COVID-19 restrictions.
Well, I moved back to Salmon because that's where I was over spring break, and then that's kind of when everything happened. So I was like, well, I guess there's no real point for me to go back. So I've been in Salmon, and then keeping up with classes and stuff on Zoom, and working a little bit and riding my bike a lot. So it's been
Okay,
good.
good for
Yeah,
getting some sunshine.
exactly.
All right, so I know what you do normally during the summer. Have you been asked to try and get that started early? Your rafting, your guiding?
Uh, Well, so we're having problems now with people like canceling trips and stuff because of everything that's
Oh,
going on.
sure.
Um, we had all our trips in May and some of our trips in June canceled, but my
Okay.
boss applied for one of those um, paycheck
Oh,
where he can basically, it's a loan so that he can pay all his employees still.
right.
And so he got that. And so I'll be out there doing some shop work and repairing gear and stuff like that. So
Right, right. And then, start off hopefully big in, well, in mid-June going.
yeah, hopefully, yeah,
Yeah. No, that's great. And so it does give you an opportunity to do those kinds of, like you said, repairs. Um,
yeah, exactly.
that's a great idea, really. And I'm glad that he was able to get that. It makes a difference to a lot of employees that were so affected by it. So you shared with me a second ago that you were taking a class on Zoom that was a math class with Dr. Dyerson. Tell
hmm
me how that went. How did you guys manage that?
I honestly felt that it went really well. There was a little bit of a learning curve, I think, for everybody for the first few days.
Yeah.
But since the classes are really computer based anyway, and we're using computer softwares, it was a lot like what our regular class would be. So he would lecture to us on Zoom for a little bit and then kind of give us some uh, MATLAB coding projects to do, and he could share his screen on MATLAB and show us what was and help us in that way. So it was actually, I felt like it was really smooth.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
So you didn't have access to MATLAB itself, is that right? You,
No, I did. I
oh, you
I
did.
have
Okay.
MATLAB on my laptop.
Oh, okay, good. So did the other students as well, or did Dr. Dyerson have to put the coding in for you?
As far as I know, everyone had MATLAB on their laptops, so
Excellent.
we could
Excellent.
all work remotely.
Yeah, excellent. And you can see
Yeah.
where that kind of class would be suited for remote learning.
Yeah, no, yeah. I felt like I've been lucky in that way, that I've because I had that class, and then now I'm doing a independent study with Wendy Ridenauer,
Oh,
and
okay.
so that's also pretty tailored to me being able to work independently and not have like a lot of actual interaction. She just kind of emails me what she wants me to do, and then I do it. So
Sure, that's great. That's really
yeah.
great. So, Bridger, I've known you for a while. So I'm going to ask you, though, to tell the students who are watching this what your major, minor, and what degree are you graduating with this May?
So I'll be graduating with a degree in ecology, and I did the quantitative option. And then I'm also doing a minor in statistics and data analysis.
Great.
Yeah.
And you started, I would say, well, you tell me, when did you start looking for the options that you wanted to have after graduation? When did that all start, that process?
Probably this fall, like starting block one. I didn't have a block one class,
Hmm.
so I spent a lot of time looking into different graduate programs and things like that, and what I should do to start preparing for the GRE. So, so it
Right?
all kind of started this fall. I would say.
Okay. And have you taken the GRE yet?
Nope. I am currently bought an online course that I have access to for 6 months. So
Wow.
I'm going to be kind of, while we have some downtime and trips being canceled and stuff, it actually gives me a good opportunity to really try and study hard for
Yeah.
the GRE, and then hopefully be able to take it sometime next winter.
Oh, okay, great. So that is one question that I get a lot in career services is where can I take that? And normally I can tell students, well, from Dillon, in the Dillon area, you can take it in Butte and you can take it in Bozeman. But I have no idea what is going to be a close place for you to take it in Salmon, Idaho. So do you know
Yeah.
where you're going to have to go to take it?
Probably Missoula is, I
Oh,
think,
okay.
the closest place that I
Is
can go
it?
to. Yeah.
Well, that won't be so bad.
Yeah, it's about 2.5 hours or 3 hours or something. So
Yeah, definitely. The one thing that I would do suggest to everyone, though, and it's a little bit more so now with COVID-19 issues, but a lot of students are looking to continue on with their schooling only because the economic situation isn't so great, maybe for getting a job right now.
yeah,
And so just be sure that, you are scheduling it like 2 to 3 weeks in advance, if not longer, so that you will be able to do it when you want to do it and, you know, won't be disappointed.
yeah.
Yeah, with that schedule. So, right. So then taking the GRE, that must mean one thing.
Yes.
Okay, which is?
So fall 2021 is when I hope to go to grad school.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what types of programs are you going to apply for?
I definitely want to be in something that's research based and in the field of ecology. And it'll probably, um, something like what I was doing with Mike, or maybe something more with the data analysis part of my studies, I guess.
Right. And I do want to clarify, you're talking about Mike Gilbert in that case, the research
Yes.
project you did with him. Okay.
Mhm.
And Bridger and Olivia Fitzgerald and about 8 other people, I think, were chosen to present at the end of March in Bozeman for the National Conference on Undergraduate Research. And
Yep.
then, of course, it was canceled. So you had an opportunity to do that presentation. Anyway, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So obviously, when that got canceled, my lab partner and I, Paul Helfrich, were pretty bummed about it, but we weren't really sure what we were going to have to do for our public presentation thing. But then they did that virtual symposium platform where basically I had presented to just a couple of the biology faculty and a few students to meet that requirement.
Right. And I'm really glad you had that opportunity because that was one thing I looked forward to seeing not only on our science symposium, which was scheduled April 17th, but also the national research symposium at the end of March. So yeah, it is kind of a bummer. I know I also gave you guys an opportunity to do that. If we would have had a tutor training at the beginning of or the middle of March actually for block 7. And so yeah, that changed a lot of hopes for many students and staff and faculty, everybody. It was kind
Yeah.
of disappointing that had to happen. But then you also told me that you had an opportunity to do the presentation to your dad's colleagues. So tell me
Yeah.
what your dad does and who these colleagues were.
So my dad works for the Department of Species Conservation in Idaho, and so he works with a lot of fish biologists
Mhm.
uh, who typically focus on anadromous fish like steelhead and salmon,
Okay, right.
But the study I was doing was about a parasite that infects all salmonids. So that's trout, salmon, whitefish, and grayling, everything. So they had heard about it and knew a little bit about this parasite.
Hmm.
And so they were pretty interested in what I was doing. And it was a good audience because they had a lot of background knowledge themselves. And so they asked a lot of good questions. And yeah, it
Yeah.
was good to talk to them too.
Oh, absolutely. A great experience. Not only
Yeah.
are you talking to experts in the field, but you're making connections. And so that's why I wanted you to share that, because that, we have to get creative. I would say that once I graduated myself from grad school in 2009 from undergrad, and then 2013 from grad school, we were still dealing with that economic depression. And I sent out, not 100, but probably 30 resumes and applications. And, it was so hard to get a job. You had to get very, very creative. And I have a feeling that that's going to be the same with your generation as well, dealing with
Mm-hmm.
COVID. So getting accepted to grad school might take a little longer, but these are the things that you can put on a resume that is really going to help you. The connections you're making with those experts, they may ask you to be involved in some of their research in the future. They
Yeah.
may be able to write letters of recommendation for you for grad school. So all of that is really positive. And then plus you're just advancing, your presentation skills.
Yeah.
Don't forget, that if nothing else, you're developing your presentation skills. So all of that's really, really great. So it has definitely affected you, and it's somewhat delayed your plans going forward. But at the same time, what kind of message can you give to students, who are coming up behind you in planning for their future after graduation? Any words of advice?
Start early, earlier than I did. I thought that it would be, I guess, I thought if I put in a decent amount of work and effort that it would have been relatively easy, but it takes a lot of just looking for programs that you want to go to and talking to the professors at that school, and all of that is a long process. And then also studying for the GRE, if you want to get good scores, is a long process. So
Right. No.
starting early is probably the advice I would give.
Yeah. I think you are just spot on about that. And I just don't know if you can start early enough. Choosing a school or trying to get the right fit is something that might take some time, and it's going to take some research as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know you have a really bright future, and I want to thank you for your contributions to the Learning Center. And it was a pleasure to work with you. But I also know that you really had a good rapport with several different students that would come in and talk to you, not always about biology or ecology, but because you had such a strong science background, you were really able to work with them. And I think I had you doing some physics tutoring, didn't I? Or
I never got into the physics realm, which is probably good because I've never taken a single physics class in my life. So I
all right.
stayed. Anytime anyone asked me about physics, I ran away.
Well, so it must have been, I'm thinking, I know I had some stats students working with you.
Yeah, I did some stats and some chemistry. I think were
Okay.
the two that were the most out of my. I did what I could.
Right, you did,
Yeah,
and you did a great job, and it was always great to have you there and have you at the front desk as well. So,
yeah.
yeah, because I think you had a great rapport with those students coming in. So I'm going to stop the recording, and I want to thank you and congratulate you again. But I want to talk to you for one quick second after we stop. Okay?
Okay.
All right, just one second.